Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are so glad you decided to join us because today we are tearing up the script on one of the most accepted and, well, frankly, most depressing realities of human life.
Exactly. And I think we all need this one. I was trying to tie my shoes this morning and realized that sitting at my desk all day has made me stiff in ways I just didn't think were possible before 50. It's a very humbling experience.
I feel that moment when you stand up and you realize gravity is working a little too hard on you.
But speaking of feeling stiff, today's mission is pretty revolutionary. We are taking on the idea that the aging of our organs, specifically the heart, is this inevitable slide into decline.
We pored over the research, and the finding is just so clear. We can stop viewing heart decline as, biological destiny. We have studies that prove consistent, structured exercise isn't just prevention. It's genuine reparative medicine. It can actually reverse 20 years of age-related heart stiffness.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're talking about turning back the clock on the actual physical structure of the heart muscle. That's a huge claim. That is the mission. And the evidence, well, it supports it.
So let's start with the basic problem. Why does the heart stiffen? For decades, we just assumed this was part of the deal, right? Just part of getting older. What's the thinking on that now?
The science has completely flipped the script. The primary driver of that stiffness isn't the passage of time. It's the consequence of chronic physical inactivity.
So just sitting.
Basically. Your heart, like any muscle, adapts perfectly to the demands you place on it. So if you spend decades asking it to do nothing strenuous, it adapts by becoming stiffer, less elastic, less efficient.
I love the analogy the researchers use. They said to think about a brand new rubber band. It's stretchy, it's pliable, flexible. But if you leave that rubber band in a drawer for 5 or 10 years, what happens?
It gets brittle, hard. If you try to stretch it, it just snaps. And the sedentary life is that unused drawer for your heart.
And the key part here, scientifically, is the left ventricle, right? The heart's main pumping chamber.
That's the one.
We need that chamber to be compliant, to stretch and fill with blood easily before it pumps. If it's stiff, it's just fighting itself.
Exactly. And the evidence that inactivity is the real culprit is just staggering. Researchers compared masters-level endurance athletes in their 70s, so people who'd kept a structured training routine for decades, to sedentary young adults in their 20s.
And what did they find in those 70-year-olds?
Their hearts had a structure and a compliance that was, well, indistinguishable from the young adults. Their lifelong training completely prevented the typical stiffening you'd expect to see over 5 decades.
That is amazing. It's confirmation that the body, if you keep challenging it, doesn't just surrender to aging.
It's proof that heart health is an active pursuit, not a passive decline. And to really drive that home, think about this shocking fact from one of the sources. A classic study took healthy people and put them on just 3 weeks of strict bed rest.
Okay.
That short period of inactivity deteriorated their heart function more than 30 years of natural aging would have.
3 weeks. More damage than 3 decades of life. That really puts the cost of being sedentary into sharp focus.
It does. It means what you're doing today is actively writing the blueprint for your heart's future.
So, we know the heart can adapt, and we have to train it. But that adaptability changes over time, doesn't it? What's fascinating is that there's a sweet spot for this intervention. If you decide to commit, when is the heart most plastic and ready for change?
The research points to a really critical window for the most dramatic structural reversal, and that's middle age. Specifically, if you start a committed, structured regimen before you hit 65.
Before 65, that's the threshold.
Yes. That finding comes from Dr. Benjamin Levine's big 2-year study. They took participants, all between 45 and 64, and put them through the exact exercise protocol we're about to detail.
And what was the outcome for those middle-aged subjects?
They saw a 25% improvement in left ventricular elasticity. That's a measurable physical change in the actual tissue of the heart.
A 25% improvement is massive.
Yeah.
But is it possible this is just a functional improvement? Better blood flow, better oxygen use? Or are we sure the exercise actually remodeled the tissue itself?
That is the critical question, and the research confirms it was actual structural remodeling. The physical compliance of the muscle improved. The walls of the heart were physically less stiff. That 25% improvement effectively turned back the clock on 20 years of aging.
Wow.
It's an astonishing amount of rejuvenation. It just shows that the heart's plasticity stays high right up until that mid-60s window.
So for you listening right now, if you're in your 40s or 50s,
Yeah.
This is your call to action. Your heart is primed for this. A 2-year commitment can give you decades back.
Yeah, we have to talk to those who are over 65 or maybe over 70 because the biology does change a bit. The message is still start now, but the goals shift.
Okay?
Structural reversal gets harder because of things like the accumulation of advanced glycation in products or AGEs.
That sounds dense. Can you break down what AGEs are?
Think of them like sticky, caramelized sugar molecules. As we age, and especially if we have uncontrolled blood sugar, these molecules start to cross-link and stiffen the collagen in the heart. They're like concrete being poured into the tissue.
So they literally cement the stiffness in place. That's a powerful visual.
It is, but that doesn't mean exercise is useless.
Yeah.
Far from it. If structural reversal is difficult, the benefits just shift the function. So improving blood vessel function, circulation, insulin sensitivity, the quality of life improvements are absolutely non-negotiable.
So regardless of age, movement is key. But for those under 65 aiming for that structural fix, the question becomes, what's the exact drug we need? What's the specific dosage?
This is where we have to emphasize that consistency and volume are the difference makers. This is not a casual fitness plan. The research showed that to get that structural change, you need a long-term commitment, at least 2 years, to a regimen of 4 to 5 days per week.
And how much time total?
It adds up to about 5 to 6 hours weekly.
5 to 6 hours a week. That's significant. And the research specifically warned that casual exercise, like 2 or 3 days a week, offered, no structural heart protection at all?
None. Zero. And it's because you need that sustained cellular signaling. Your body needs a high volume and frequency of that stimulus to activate the pathways for remodeling. 2 or 3 sessions. It's enough to maintain fitness, but it's not enough to actively force the heart to change its structure.
Okay, so let's get practical.
Yep.
What are the 4 components of this reparative regimen?
We need variety because each one targets a different system.
Makes sense.
First, you absolutely need high-intensity intervals, HIIT, once a week. The protocol they used was the Norwegian 4x4.
Okay, break that down.
It's 4 minutes at 95% of your maximum heart rate, followed by 3 minutes of active recovery, and you repeat that 4 times.
I have to admit, hearing 95% of maximum heart rate sounds absolutely terrifying. Can you talk us through what that actually feels like?
That's a great question. 95% is a true all-out effort. So on a 1 to 10 scale of exertion, you're at a 9 or a 10. You should be working so hard you can't speak a full sentence. You can maybe grunt, say a word or two, but that's it. That intense load is what forces the cardiac tissue to stretch and adapt.
That's a great clarification. So start small, maybe 1 or 2 intervals, but aim for that intensity. What's number 2?
Component 2 is your endurance base. That's moderate intensity cardio 1 to 2 times a week, a sustained 60-minute session at a conversational pace. You can talk, but you're not totally relaxed.
So HIIT is the stressor, and the moderate cardio builds the aerobic engine.
Precisely. Third, we have weekly strength training, about 2 times a week. This is focusing on major muscle groups. It doesn't directly improve heart elasticity, but it supports your metabolism, blood sugar, and keeps you strong enough to do the other activities.
Right. It supports the whole system.
And the fourth component is just active recovery. Light activity like walking or stretching on the other days. So you're moving almost every day, but only hitting it hard 4 or 5 times.
And you can't just jump into this on day 1.
No, absolutely not. It needs a phased approach. For someone starting from scratch, phase 1 is just consistency. 30 minutes of moderate exercise 3 times a week. Do that for a few months.
Okay.
Phase 2, you introduce intensity. Keep the moderate sessions, but swap one for a strength day and add your first short HIIT session, maybe just 2 of those 4-minute intervals. Then phase 3, after about 6 months, you build to the full volume.
It sounds like planning a financial investment. You need a strategy, not just enthusiasm.
It is, absolutely. And, if you want a simple breakdown later on how to start putting these pieces together, bfit.ai has some great free articles that really make fitness and nutrition feel, clear and doable. They can help with that transition.
That's a great resource. Now, let's dig into the why. How does this mix of intensity and endurance actually work on a microscopic level?
Okay, this is the really cool part. Exercise acts as a potent regulator of what's called mitochondrial quality control.
Okay, mitochondria. So we're talking about the powerhouses of the cell, right?
The powerhouses of the cell, exactly. Think of your heart cells as these tiny factories, and the mitochondria are the generators inside. Inactivity lets those generators get old and inefficient.
Which is a core driver of cardiovascular disease.
Right. But this kind of training triggers a deep biological maintenance. It does 2 things. First is biogenesis. That's building brand new, healthy energy factories. And second is mitophagy. That's the cleanup crew that dismantles the old damaged machinery.
So you're boosting the production of new energy centers while clearing out all the cellular junk. You're giving the heart a fresh, robust power source.
And that leads us to the bigger picture. This massively improves your cardiorespiratory fitness, your VO max, which should honestly be considered a vital sign.
Why is VO max, the rate your body uses oxygen, such a powerful metric?
Think of it as the master score for your body's entire operating system. It measures how well your lungs, heart, blood vessels, and muscles all work together to deliver and use oxygen.
So a high score means the whole system is robust.
Incredibly robust. Data shows VO max is one of the strongest predictors of longevity, more powerful than blood pressure, cholesterol, even smoking status. Improving this one metric is just key.
The stakes are incredibly high then. And the speed of the body's response is just so encouraging.
Think about the follow-up to that Dallas bed rest study. Those same middle-aged men who declined so much. They did 8 weeks of aerobic training. In just 2 months, they not only reversed the damage, they restored their VO max at the levels they had at age 20.
Reversing 30 years of decline in 8 weeks, that's just astonishing resilience.
It really is. It shows that declining fitness is not a hallmark of aging. It's a hallmark of a lack of stimulus.
So let's bring this all home. The narrative that our hearts are destined to fail is, well, it's a myth. It's a myth driven by a sedentary lifestyle, not by the calendar.
Absolutely. The takeaway is that this is reparative medicine, but it needs the right dosage. And remember that diet and exercise are synergistic. Exercise provides the stimulus, diet provides the raw materials. Walking is foundational, but this mixed intensity protocol is what's necessary for the real benefits.
Crucial distinction. And as always, a critical safety warning. This prescription includes very high-intensity training. Please consult a doctor before starting, especially if you have any existing cardiovascular risk factors.
That is vital. Always get medical clearance first, particularly if you've been sedentary. But once you have that, the takeaway is simple. If your body has the extraordinary resilience to reverse 30 years of fitness decline in a matter of weeks, what other limits have you placed on your physical potential that are based on myth and not biology?
Something to mull over until our next deep dive. That is the ultimate call to action. We'll see you next time.